Hi Fox, this is Patrick speaking. Welcome to my new channel and my very first video. I'm very happy that you are here. On my channel I'd like to tell you some basics of how to fly small aircraft and X-plane. When I checked out YouTube videos, I've recognized that most videos are about how to fly the big airliners, which are very computed and mostly flown by the autopilot. So with my channel I wanted to teach you some basics how to fly aircraft manually. This is very important because your aviation career always starts with small aircraft, and being able to fly manually will help you all along your aviation career. So this is the reason for my channel, and in my very first video I want to tell you the basics of short field takeoffs and short field landings. Why is it necessary to perform a short field landing or a short field takeoff sometimes? Well, maybe you are used to runways with a length of 1,000 or 2,000 meters, or maybe even 700 meters, but as we all know, not every airport has such a long runway. And we can check this out very good here where I am. This is the island of Baltrum. For those of you who don't know where Baltrum is, it's one of the islands in the North Sea, northwestern Germany coast, and it's even the smallest island. And the runway, as you can maybe imagine, it's only 360 meters long. So it's the shortest, really, it's the shortest runway we have in Germany. And 360 meters is, when you check the operations manual, it's enough to start and land Cessna 152 as we've got it here, but you have to keep some things in mind, which I want to tell you today. Well, back to our aircraft. As I've already told you, this is a Cessna 152. It's the Coronado Cessna 152. I love flying Coronado planes, but I added the NH Adrian mod to make it more realistic, and it's a very good add-on, as you can see already, and even more realistic from the inside. I really love this airplane, and it's one of the best trainer aircraft anyway. So I don't want to start talking and introducing way too long. I just want to start the video and show you how to start from a short runway and how to land on a short runway. Furthermore, I will not bother you with the checklists. I will do it short and simple so that you can see what it's all about. At first, we have to start our alternator and our battery. You can check if it's working by the sound you're hearing, and the fuel quantity will hopefully rise, as you can see. Furthermore, as soon as you've started the battery, keep your beacon light on. Your beacon light, which is located in the rear, indicates to people standing outside that you are from now on a danger, literally spoken, since you're going to start your engine. Okay, engine is the keyword. Let's get it started. So your mixture, which determines the ratio of fuel and air, has to be completely in, and your throttle has to be in about a half centimeter. That's completely enough. We've got one thing here that is called a primer. Especially when it's very cold outside, small aircraft struggle with starting the engine, so you have to prime it 1, 2, 3 or even 4 times so that you enrich your engine with fuel prior to starting it. And then it has to go very quickly, otherwise the fuel flows away. Keep your hand on the throttle, pull in the keys, and then before you start, guys, check out your left is clear, your right is clear, your rear and your front are clear too. Okay, make sure you've got the brakes, and then turn it around, keep your hands on the throttle. Yes, it's starting very quickly. As soon as your RPM is rising, turn the ignition back from start to both, or you will damage the motor, and check at very first if you've got any oil pressure. If there is no oil pressure, turn off the engine immediately. You can see furthermore your oil temperature is low. That's very normal. The oil temperature has to rise incrementally, and it will not be on 240 or 200 degrees. It takes some time. As you can see, we've got some fuel and our battery is charging too, or it is not decharging, and that's the more important thing. As soon as your ampere meter is in a negative area, as you can see by the minus right here, your generator or your alternator is not working at all. Okay, you can leave the RPM at 1200 in the beginning, and as soon as your engine is running a few minutes, you can take it back to 1000. Okay, we will now call the ATC and get our clearance, or in a small uncontrolled airfield there is no clearance, so we will immediately taxi to the holding point. Check once again the surrounding area is clear, and then pull the elevator, otherwise you will stress your front gear. So pull the elevator so you de-stress your front gear, and it will last much longer. Then release the brakes, give some throttle, and take it slowly to the holding point. Check your brakes, dudes. Step on the brakes and check if your brakes are working. Don't do it too late, because maybe then it's too late. So check it in the very beginning when you're starting to taxi. Okay. Taxiway is not too long right here, so we can stop it before entering the runway. Keep enough distance, you never know what arriving planes are going to do. So, what are we going to do before we take off? At first, we will check our rudders. Check the freedom of movement and check the correctness of your rudders. So, now I'm having the aileron to the right, so your left aileron should be down, and otherwise it should be up. It's working correctly, as you can see. Check out the elevator too. If you pull the elevator, it should go up, and if you push the elevator, it should go down. And last but not least, don't forget your rudder. We can see our rudders are free and correct. That's very good. Now it's time to check the engine. At first, check your brakes again, and then increase the throttle to about 1700 RPM. We now have to check the ignition, especially our magnetos. So we make from both to left. There has to be a drop. I'll take it back to both. It's increasing. We check out our right ignition too. It's a drop. I put it back to both, and it's increasing. It's working fine. So, the second check is your carb heat, the carburetor heat. Pull it, and you can hear and you can see the drop in RPM. Okay, very good. The third check, your suction gauge. Green area, working fine. Is your battery discharging? No, it's not. It's working fine too. We have a normal oil pressure and oil temperature. Yes, we have. So our engine is completely okay. Pull it back to idle, and then pull it back to 1000 RPM. Or a bit more, it doesn't matter. Okay. Special thing about a short field takeoff is that we've got flaps to set. In order to lift as soon as possible, we extend our flaps to 10 degrees, not more, because the drag will be higher than the lift, so you will accelerate very, very slow, and you will lift like a train. That's not good. Leave it with 10 degrees, that's completely enough. So we should take on our headset. It's gonna be very, very loud. Check your heading indicator. We should have about 0.14 degrees. Check if it's the same like on the compass. It's about 140 degrees. Have in mind the deviation, but that's completely okay. Check your altitude. Baltrum is sea level, so it should be about 0 feet. QNH, and it's 2992. Okay, this is fine as well. If you want, you can take on your landing light, you can take on your pitot heat if you want, and set your trim to the takeoff position. Keep in mind your center on gravity, so that you won't experience any inconvenient surprise. Okay, last but not least, we will activate our transponder, on the alt mode, and the German VFR code is 7000. Alright, now we can take off, but do me one favor and check the approach sector. Check out if there's any airplane incoming you couldn't hear on ATC, or which didn't even report to ATC. So do the simple check, it may save your life. We're now ready for the short field takeoff. So we increase the throttle, we pull the elevator as already known, and we don't want to waste any runway length. So take it almost to the threshold, line up and step in the brakes. So what we are going to do now is we increase the throttle to the maximum RPM of about 2600 or 2550, and we will keep the brakes on until we have reached the upper limit. We will then release the brakes and lift at about 45 to 50 knots indicated airspeed. So, okay, I increase the throttle. You can see RPM is increasing. We got full RPM. You now have to apply right rudder because of the torque effect that will drag a right turning motor to the left. So we apply some right rudder, maybe even too much. Slightly pull the elevator and then let's keep it going. Okay, slowly accelerating. Airspeed is alive. It's working properly. We got 40 knots indicated, half runway length, 50, and lift. Now, don't lift the elevator too much. You have to keep your altitude, or you have to climb very slowly in order to gain enough indicated airspeed. As we can see, it's no problem with this Cessna 152. We've already got 7 knots indicated airspeed. Our climb rate is positive, so everything is working fine. Alright, we are climbing out 70 knots, which is about the best angle of climb. Everything is fine so far. Now we have reached 400 feet above the ground level. It's now time to retract your flaps. Guys, never retract your flaps too early, because you will sag. You will lose height very, very quickly, and if you are not high enough, you will fall down to the ground. So keep in mind, retract your flaps, not prior to 400 feet AGL, and check that you have got a proper indicated airspeed, about 60 to 65 knots before retracting flaps. So the climb out is working fine. We will make a full power climb out as usual. We will keep about 90 degrees on our heading indicator. There's no wind today. It was very unusual for a North Sea island, but it's a scenario today. Okay, we've already reached 1000 feet. This is our traffic pattern height, or traffic pattern altitude. It's here approximately the same. Okay, first pull down the elevator, and as soon as your airspeed is rising, reduce your power to about 2300 RPM, and now it's already time to do the crosswind leg. We will make a right traffic pattern, check out that you don't have more than 20 degrees bank angle, slightly pull the elevator to keep your altitude, check your airspeed. It's very good, it's a very good airspeed, and we should have 180 degrees. Because our runway heading was about 090, so the first right turn is about 180. Okay, we're now on the crosswind leg. There's actually nothing to do for us. If you get a fuel pump on your aircraft, switch it off. If you want to leave the traffic pattern, call ATC. Otherwise, there is nothing to do for you yet. There's one thing I want you to keep in mind too: your turn indicator. Keep the ball in the middle, or otherwise your airplane is not centered. 1000. We can hear callouts. It's a fly with lure script. It shouldn't be on a small airplane like that. The turn indicator. keep the ball in the middle. And that's one maybe paradox thing. If I completely release the rudder, it's a bit more to the right. So you have to apply right in order to send it again, not left. That may be a bit paradox, but it is completely correct. Alright. It's now time to take the downwind leg. Bank angle 20 degrees. That's what your examiner wants to see. Keep the ball in the middle of the turn indicator. Keep your altitude and check out your airspeed. We will level out at about 270 degrees on our heading indicator. Alright. And we are already there. If you want, you can trim your aircraft so it keeps the altitude automatically. I will trim it down a bit. Okay, my altitude is increasing. I will trim it a bit more. You have to do only small changes. Okay, now it's flying level. On the right side we can see the island. We can see our runway there. We still have some time to go. So, it's a good time to talk about the short field landing. The short field landing is at first flown with full flaps, but this is not a common rule. You have to keep in mind the weather, the altitude, the pressure, the density, altitude. But here in our scenario with no winds and sea level, we can fly it with full flaps, which is in this case 30 degrees. The second thing is we will approach with VREF, which is about 55 knots. Normally with a normal landing is about 60 knots, but in our case we will approach it with 50 to 55 knots. How long is my airplane flying? You can see it here on the airspeed indicator. If you've got no flaps at all, your airplane will stall at about 40 knots, but, and you have to imagine, a landing configured Cessna 150 will stall at about 36 knots. So it's about 65 kilometers. A Cessna can fly very, very slow. That's the key message. Okay, we're now a bit late for the base leg, but it doesn't matter. It's a very long base leg, so we take out 20 degrees bank angle to 360 degrees on the heading indicator, and now it's time to make our aircraft slow. So, how to slow an aircraft? It's not about only pulling the throttle. At first you pull your car beat. You can hear the drop in RPM. The second move is to reduce the throttle to about 1900 RPM and then pull the elevator to keep your altitude. And as soon as you've reached the wide area, apply flaps 10 degrees. So you have to immediately push the elevator, because flaps will give you a natural lift. And we're a bit too far right. And as you can see, if you extract the flaps to 10 degrees with about 1900 RPM, your aircraft will descend with a rate of about 500 feet. Okay, we're still a bit too much right. Okay. So, we have to descend quick layer, so know the pitch and power principle. If I want to descend faster, pull the throttle and don't push the elevator. You will gain too much airspeed. So we will make flaps 20, and the airfield is on the right side, so it's time to turn on the final leg. Obey 20 degrees. Your bank angle shouldn't be too steep, especially when you're flying on low speeds. So this is already too much. 20 degrees, that's completely okay. Okay, we're on final. Flaps full. We're too high. So we're pulling the throttle. And now aim on a point in front of the runway. You don't want to waste any runway length, so aim at a point in front of the runway. Speed is okay, we're about 57 knots, decreasing. We're now about 55. Okay, some throttle. It's a nice and flat approach, stabilized. Glide path is okay. 50 knots. Okay, idle power, and then pull. pull, pull, and we're down nice and slowly. Pull the elevator, apply the brakes, and we're down successfully. Alright, it's a butter landing. Nice to hear. Let's check our plane from the outside. Okay, it looks very okay. Let's ask the pilot, was it okay? He says yes. Well, let's check out the replay. So, let's first check it out from behind. We'll fast forward it a bit. Is it a centered landing? Yes, we can say that at any rate. Alright, back once again. Let's check it out from the side. Negative pitch attitude, idle, and then flare, flare, flare. Keep the flare, and we're touching down nice and smooth. The landing wasn't perfect. How to know? In a perfect landing, you would stall exactly in the moment of touching down. So you will hear the peep sound, and you know you're stalling. This is indeed a very perfect landing. But always keep in mind, you don't have to land perfect, you have to land safely, and this was indeed a safe landing. So guys, this is the end of our video. I hope I could teach you some basic techniques of short field landings and short field takeoffs. Yeah, try it at home, have a lot of fun, and see you next time. Bye bye.